What's up, guys? It's Justin from EliteLifeNutrition.com, and in today's episode, I want to make an announcement before I mention who our guest is today. But in today's episode, I want to talk about why we switched the name from Elite Man Podcast over to Elite Life Podcast. As you may know, the title's obviously different this week. I made a couple announcements here and there on social media, newsletter, etc. But the reason we switched over, and it was a big decision, it was kind of weighing in the back of my mind for a long time. And by the way, we're back on YouTube, we're back on social media more actively, short videos, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, which for the longest time I was opposed to getting on TikTok, but I actually love it because the format of it is so cool. So follow us on TikTok. We're putting out a ton of videos every week, just short little 30, 60-second videos, 2-minute videos, 3-minute videos. It's just incredible how easy it is to get videos done on TikTok, which is why we joined it. So much information going around, and we're also going to be putting a lot of these stuff on Instagram. So follow us at Elite Life Nutrition Official on Instagram, and also just Elite Life Nutrition on Facebook. But the reason we switched over from Elite Man Podcast to now Elite Life Podcast is because the brand has really outgrown in the past couple of years. Elite Life Nutrition has basically outgrown Elite Man, which I always love. Elite Man, we're always going to have the website, the resources, always going to be up on elitemanmagazine.com. But Elite Life Nutrition has just taken so much of my time the past couple of years because of the growth of it that I felt like I was dividing myself too much. And then, of course, with our other brand that we just came out with, our patriotic brand, it was just too much to do too many things, spinning too many plates and not really focusing on one thing, or in this case, two things with the other patriotic brand. But that's really a secondary thing. The main thing has been for a while now Elite Life Nutrition, and all of our content has been focused on Elite Life Nutrition stuff while neglecting the Elite Man stuff, or actually vice versa, Elite Man stuff while neglecting the Elite Life Nutrition, although Elite Life has really outgrown Elite Man a long time ago. And so I just decided it's basically the exact same content. All the stuff we were putting out for Elite Man is also Elite Life stuff. And when we were doing Elite Life stuff, it was basically Elite Man stuff. So rather than just keep dividing myself and focusing all my time into too many different areas, I decided to, over the past few months, been weighing it, decided recently just to make it one brand, Elite Man. Sorry, Elite Man is now Elite Life. So Elite Life Nutrition is the main place to go. EliteLifeNutrition.com, Elite Life Podcast. You can get all our incredible supplements, including our brand new updated natural sleep formula. This thing is incredible. Just making a quick little plug because it's on top of my mind right now. But so with that said, it's going to be a lot easier for me to post all kinds of content this way going forward. So basically, you're going to get more podcasts, you're going to get more videos, you're going to get more posts, 2 to 3 podcasts every week for Elite Life Podcast. And again, it's the same exact content. We're not going to steer away from any of these amazing topics we cover, all these amazing guests we bring on. It's all the same content. It's just a little easier to do it this way. And actually, by doing it this way, by focusing on one core brand, it's going to allow us to do so much more with this brand and so much more for you guys in terms of content. Even this video right here, which will be on YouTube, going forward, we're going to be doing a ton of YouTube videos. So we stopped doing YouTube videos a few years ago. I told you the whole story with, family member getting sick and having, to really focus on family as opposed to work for the last couple of years. But now I'm back. Now Elite Life is really back. Now all the content is coming out, and I'm really excited to get into doing some of these videos, sharing this information, creating this content for you guys. So with that said, I just wanted to make that quick announcement. Going forward, EliteLifeNutrition.com is the place to go, and really it helps us out a ton if you can support the brand. Get one of our amazing products. Natural Sleep is one of them right here. We have incredible other ones, magnesium. We have men's multivitamin, women's multivitamin, calcium, tyrosine, the list goes on and on. Glutamine, I can't think of them all off the top of my head. But we have 17 products, and they're all amazing. They really are incredible. So with that said, EliteLifeNutrition.com, the place to go from this point forward. Sign up for the newsletter at elitelifenutrition.com as well. You can check out all the podcasts. We're going to be converting all the podcasts over onto the Elite Life Nutrition site, but you can always still go back if you want to see some old stuff, Elite Man stuff. The website's always going to be there for you, elitemanmagazine.com. I'm always going to keep that. Always has a special place in my heart. But again, I'm not real. It really is. It's like not like I'm abandoning Elite Man, because this is still going to be Elite Man. It's just got a different name on it. Elite Life Podcast going forward is the new name. But that's it. And in today's episode, let's dive right into it. In today's episode, we interview the amazing Prince EA, who, this guy is incredible. I mean, you guys are going to love this episode. Prince EA is just an amazing person, amazing soul. We connected probably a month ago now, and up until then, I actually hadn't heard of him. I don't know how I never came across this guy, because he's all over the place, and he is truly an amazing guy doing incredible things. But I only came across him like a month ago, and then we had this conversation on the podcast, and just blew my mind. I mean, he's just an incredible guy. He's a filmmaker, inspirational speaker. He's a giant YouTube influencer. He's got 6 million plus subscribers on YouTube. He's got a few more million on Instagram. He's got he's got 18 million followers on Facebook. I mean, this guy's huge. He's blown up the last few years. He does all these incredible like motivational, I think he calls it inspirational is a better word, inspirational videos. I checked a bunch out. They really are inspirational. They're incredible. In this conversation, we talk about a number of things, including mindset, including some business topics about how he kind of got to the growth that he was at, about switching career paths in life. He actually used to be a rapper and performed with Ludacris and some of the other guys. DJ Khalid, that guy who's all over the place too. He was pretty big before, but then he just had a career change, and now he's doing this incredible thing with inspirational talks and speeches and videos, and he blew up. And I think he's even better now. I think he's even more talented doing this than he was before, and he's pretty talented before. But yeah, this conversation is incredible. It's inspiring. We talk about mindset, talk about business, talk about spirituality. We dive into some heavy topics, but actually, it's just a fun conversation. You guys are really going to love this one. So make sure you check it out right now. And give me your feedback as well on Instagram. Shoot me a DM. Let me know on YouTube. If you're watching this video on YouTube, shoot me a comment on YouTube. And also start following us on TikTok, because our new videos coming out are going to be incredible. And I think you guys are really going to love it. My guest today is Prince EA of YouTube fame and of the new podcast, Sauna Sessions. Prince, thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Yo, I'm happy to be here, Justin. Let's do this.
Yeah, it's great to connect, man. I did a little research. I got some notes here, but I want to learn more about you, because I just kind of came across your stuff a few weeks back, and you seem really interested. Like I mentioned, I watched a few of your videos on YouTube. I think we align in a lot of ways. We have a lot of the same beliefs, which is really interesting too when you come across people that kind of think the way you think. But man, so let me just first ask you, Richard Williams is real first name, I guess, original name. How'd you come up with the phrase or new name Prince EA, which I think is where most people know you from on YouTube? And by the way, you got like 6 million followers, which is pretty big, or subscribers, which is crazy.
Yeah, well, I've been doing it forever, dude.
Yeah.
The name Prince EA, it actually stands for Prince Earth. So I got my degree in biological anthropology. I studied this university, and one of the reasons I got into this field was because I was just curious about humans. Where do we come from? Who are we, and where are we going as a species? And so with that, I started studying cultures. Okay, so anthropologists say the first culture known to man is the Sumerian culture. The Sumerian people, they lived where, it would be considered modern day Iraq. It went by a few different names throughout history. So Mesopotamia, Babylon, Syria. And so 6,000 years ago, scientists say the Sumerian culture sprang up from out of the Ice Age, right? So they had a lot of firsts. They created the wheel. The Sumerian people created the wheel. They had the first written language. They had characters etched in stone. It was called cuneiform script. They had political structures, agriculture. And they just had a lot of firsts. And like I said, this is right out of the Stone Age. And if you would have asked one of these Sumerian people, how did you have this advanced knowledge? They would have said, we didn't come up with any of this. We didn't invent it. We didn't figure it out. It was given to us. And it was given to us by our living gods. And so I'm reading their mythology and they talk about these living gods. And I'm like, what is this living gods? And they talk about those who from the heavens come down. And it's funny because now these days we're getting a lot of UFO
Oh yeah.
sighting news and stuff. And I've always been curious about that. You know, these questions, are we alone? I want to believe. So I'm looking more and more into their origin story, and I come across this character named Enki or Prince Earth. And this is many years ago. I'm reading, and they say Prince Earth was the Sumerian creator god. And he freed the Sumerian people out of bondage, out of slavery. But he didn't free them out of, with revolution, with force, with violence. He did it through knowledge and wisdom. And so I was like, man, that's what a name, what a destiny. So I took on the name because through my content, I knew at that time, at that day, that I wanted to free people through knowledge and wisdom. And so the name kind of stuck. I started out in music. It was first my musical name, because I did hip hop, and we could get into that, but that was the name I used for that. And it's just kind of stuck. And people have called me that since then. And it's a good thing to remember too, that the essence, the purpose of, I think, why I'm here is to free people. I don't think it was by accident.
Yeah. So yeah, that I mean, let's start with that then. You started in music, right? You started doing hip hop, and
Yeah.
I'm sure, like many younger men, you had an aspiration to be famous or celebrity or rich
Oh, yeah.
through the music avenue. But at some point, that transitioned into making these, what would you call them, motivational type of
Yeah.
videos on YouTube. I mean, that's what I got. I got some motivation watching some of your videos. I mean, they're very well done. The message is all positive. But at
Mhm.
what point was that transition from being more so in the music industry to doing the stuff you're doing now?
Yeah, it's funny. So I actually say inspirational
Yeah.
instead of
Okay.
motivation.
That's a better word. Yeah.
Well, and I didn't know this, but inspiration comes from the word inspire meaning spirit. So in spirit. So for me, everything that I do is trying to bring people back to their spirit, their essence. So I inspire people to kind of come home as opposed to motivate people to do this and that, to go out. So I use the term inspiration, and I think it was, in hip hop, and music, that's what inspired me. Growing up, funny enough, I wasn't allowed to listen to hip hop music. My parents thought it was garbage. It was, misogynistic crap, which a lot of it is. I'm gonna keep it real with you. And it wasn't until I discovered conscious hip hop, artists who were speaking about important subjects from geopolitics to religion to socioeconomics. I was flabbergasted. I was astonished by um the artist's ability to poetically and lyrically put these words together in a way that actually meant something. And so I was so inspired that I wanted to do what they did. And so that's exactly what happened. Um, I wanted to be a hip hop artist. And so I started, putting out content on YouTube and trying to inspire people, trying to speak. But back then I was super political, like super political. I was even, before my anthropology degree, I was studying political science because I thought politics was really the way to change things. And then I realized actually the way to change things is through culture. Everything is built upon culture. And then I realized the way to change things is the individual because a society doesn't exist. It's just filled with many individuals. So I started creating content to I started making music to hopefully educate people. And yeah, I got a little claim to fame. I won a lot of awards. I had songs on the radio. I performed with Ludacris, DJ Khalid. I got in Vibe magazine. Um,
Nice. That's
I
awesome.
was yeah, I was really an up and coming artist, and I developed a following, but I was also miserable, and I was miserable because, even though I'd achieved a little bit of this success, I was comparing myself to a lot of artists that were achieving more, and I think it's super common. They say comparison is the doorway to suffering, and I can't agree more. Um, I would say, okay, why are they on a world tour? Why are they getting a Grammy or Billboard award, and I'm not? I'm doing a local show or this and that, and I feel like I was better than them, and so um, it was that, and it was also, I was just, hip hop. While I always say it saved my life, and I just changed it, but hip hop is also very competitive. And even in the underground, it's not, I got a bigger watch than you, a better car than you, a prettier girl than you. I'm more lyrical than you. I can put these lines, these bars together better than you can. And I started, as I matured, I was like, yeah, this competitive spirit, I'm just not into it. And so I quit. I was like, okay, this isn't making me happy. I don't want to. They say don't be too good at something, or they'll make you do it for the rest of your life. And so I was like, dude, I don't know if I really want to do this for the rest of my life. So I quit, and I started reading every book. I see you got a lot of books in your
Oh,
room. I just became a voracious reader, and I read everything from, psychotherapy books, science books, spiritual books, Taoism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Christianity, Islam, Sufism, everything I could to try to find out what is happiness, what is fulfillment, and where is happiness? How can I find it for myself? Is it in the palace or is it in the cabin? And then what I realized was that happiness actually is in neither. It's in us. And when you change the way you look at things, those things you look at change, as Wayne Dyer said. And so I developed an understanding of, I think, reality that really changed everything for me. And I wanted to share that. I wanted to share that understanding with as many people as I could. And that's when I really so blew up, you could say. I went from, maybe 100,000 views to, videos that hit 100 million within like 2 weeks on Facebook.
wow.
Things just really, really blew up, being on Oprah, meeting royalty, um, having videos premiere at Leonardo DiCaprio events. And because I think it happened because I wasn't chasing it anymore. I was at what the Buddhists or the Hindus say. I was in my dharma. I think I was aligned. And I think when we do become aligned with our purpose, I don't know if I believe in purpose, but I think more so our spirit, um, things happen. And I think the universe gets not only gets out of our way, but it puts things in our way that will help us. And so yeah, that's really the story. And the pivot from hip hop, me wanting to be the best rapper or me wanting to win the awards, to now where it's like, how can I serve? How can I uplift? How can I impact as many people as I can while I have this short, fragile life that I live? Um, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What a great story. So if you think, how long ago, when would you say, like in what year did you kind of blow up, as you so put it eloquently on YouTube with your views and all that stuff? What year was that? Like 5 years ago, 4 years ago?
Nah, it was longer than it was like, I mean, the biggest videos happened around like 8 years ago.
Okay.
Um, that was when it first happened, when I released a video called Can We Auto Correct Humanity? And it was all about, cell phone addiction and how we need to be more present in our lives.
Yeah.
It's so funny how that happened because I never said this to anybody, but when I was writing that piece, everybody was like, "Man, you need to keep rapping. No, don't do this stuff. Don't do this. What is this spoken word poetry stuff you're trying to do?" And I just felt like man, I really want to reach people. And as I was writing this piece, there was this other guy. He had a video which probably everybody listening to this has seen, or if they looked it up, they'll realize that they saw it. It was called Look Up, and it was all about cell phones. And it had released like a week before I was gonna release mine. And it
That
went crazy
sucks.
viral. And I was like, this is the exact thing. Well, it's funny how the world works, man. I think ideas come into different brains at the same time, and like only a few people have like the courage to activate that idea.
Yeah,
Uh, but make a long story short, I still ended up releasing mine, and it moved. It was I think, yeah, it wasn't to this day the biggest thing I've ever done, but that was the video that really kind of started making people pay attention. And a week after that, I released that one. I released another one called "Why I Think This World Should End," and that one blew up almost at a similar stature as the other one. Yeah.
that's cool, man. Yeah, I agree though too. I heard somewhere else. I don't know where it was from exactly. I'm trying to remember, but it's almost like the universe gets these ideas. I think it might have been Nikola Tesla who said it, or something to the effect where he gets the universe sends out these ideas, and there's different people on Earth who have like a what do you call it? Like a lightning rod, so to speak, of they'll like pick up that on that idea, but it's only a few of them will actually act on it, like you said. But it's almost like the universe is dispersing these ideas. Because if you think about it, where do ideas really come from? Where does all our consciousness come from? You know what I mean? So if it is all coming, like you said, around the same time, it probably is coming from an ultimate source. And
Yeah.
it's fascinating if you think about it. I think it is Tesla that was saying that, made that same comparison.
He probably did, man. He said if you want to understand the laws of the universe, think in terms of energy and frequency.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm a huge fan of Tesla.
Oh yeah.
Um, Tesla had, I don't want to deviate from the conversation, but I read Tesla's autobiography called My Inventions. And man, that guy, I don't, many people don't know this, but he had an accident where he almost died. And after that accident, his genius turned on.
Really? What age? Early or
He was young. He almost drowned, I think.
wow.
And yeah, he Tesla, just like you're looking at me, or you look around wherever you are, you see objects in your room. He could create inventions, and he couldn't tell the difference between his imagination and what was real because he saw in his imagination the images that clearly.
Wow.
And he
That's
could work on
incredible.
he could work on his inventions from start to finish without writing anything down.
Wow.
Um, yeah, he was so brilliant.
Oh yeah.
Um, but going back to the idea of the ideas, like in this ultimate source, spreading these ideas. I'm a big fan of Charles Darwin, and during Charles Darwin's time, there's another guy less known. His name was Alfred Russel Wallace, who also came up with kind of a theory of natural selection and evolution at the same time as Darwin, but Darwin gets the credit because he was the first one to print.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. There's another one too. I think it was Alexander Graham Bell, and then a European inventor. I forget his name. Was it Macron or something? There's another guy who actually did it right before Bell too, and then Bell got
Oh,
all the credit. Yeah, I forget who the guy was. He's a famous inventor, but he didn't get that credit. But
wow.
yeah, there's definitely something to that what you're saying. Um, so going back to what you said, Prince, when you started to blow up and everything just kind of came aligned, you called it Dharma and what they call it in Buddhism. Do you think it was the universe rewarding you for what you were doing, like an actual like law of attraction type of thing going on, or do you think more so that it was the fact that you got all this talent, and when you decided that to focus it on one key area, it was like that's when things started to blow up because of the fact that it was emanating from you and you were inspired to do it.
Yeah, I think both. I think, when you chase two rabbits, you lose them both. There's this great book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, and he talks all about how, when you can really focus on one specific thing, because most people living in the world, man, we're like, what do I do? I don't know my purpose because I want to do so many things. Well, pick one thing. Pick one thing, and then like, okay, what if it's not the thing though? What if it's not the thing? It'll be the thing that leads to the thing, right? So it was me focusing, I think, on that for sure. And maybe it was a thing like I wasn't ready to experience it until I went through, the hardships and the introspection, and then because I couldn't handle the fame and all of that before. I probably couldn't have until, you stop chasing something, and then it starts to chase you.
Yeah.
I think the law of attraction is a real thing, but also I think when you become, um yeah, I think when you the ego, I always say there's a difference between ego goals and spirit goals. And the ego goals can be something that, you think you want, or your parents might say you should have, or society says you should have, and you might achieve that, and you might be very successful. But those spirit goals are kind of what you were meant to do, the gifts that the universe has bestowed upon you. Nobody has lived your story. You have a unique experience and insight into the world that nobody else can have or even copy. And I think once we start to honor and surrender into that, good things happen. It's flow. I think you just enter the flow state, and man, it's just like, yes, it's beyond, I think, anything that can be understood with the mind. I think there are forces and laws in play that operate in this universe, that we can't understand, we can't fathom, but they're there. Success, I think, leaves clues, and a lot of the successful people have practiced those things, like whether it's visualization, or the whole Neville Goddard method of acting as if you already have it. I read all those books, and I think they're real. And but I think it's so important to it's so important it's so important to have that beingness first, because you got to be before you can do, and do before you can have.
Yeah. And how do you mentioned a great point about the egoic goals versus the spiritual goals. How do you I mean, there's a dichotomy there too, but because like we're always what we're seeing in front of us is always about ego. Everything's material around us. All our friends are usually talking about it. It's on TV, it's on the news, music. How do you differentiate that and really go after what the spirit wants, what you really truly want, and what will fulfill you, as opposed to what's in front of you and what's calling your name all the time?
Joseph Campbell, he wrote a great book called The Hero's Journey, and I would suggest everybody read that one. The Hero of a Thousand Faces, and he said, "Follow your bliss, not your excitement, your bliss. Follow your bliss. What is it that brings you to that state of just bliss, of peace?" Um, those, I think, are the spirit goals, you could say. But I also feel like you have to polish your mirror before you can see it. Like you really have to do, 9 times out of 10. I mean, there are exceptions, but you've got to do the self work, um, in order to be clear, because a lot of our motivations, you're right, it's easy to, nobody lies to us as much as we lie to ourselves. Nobody can fool us as much as we can fool ourselves. And it's so easy for the mind to think you want something, but you haven't done the inner work, in order to really find out what it is that you need to do. And that comes from, meditation, that comes from experimenting, that comes from really tuning in, I think, to your inner wisdom. There's a great method that I took a course in called the Silva method.
Oh
And
yeah, is that Jose Silva?
the Silva, yeah,
I got
yeah.
his book on the shelf back there.
Oh, nice. Well, he's got this practice. It's probably too much to explain. on the podcast, but I'll kind of I'll tell you in a nutshell. It's called the laboratory. So in your mind, you say 3, 2, 1, and you take your brain to alpha state, and then you envision a laboratory. This laboratory is a place where only you go. It's only you there. You construct it however you want to construct it. You put it wherever you want to put it. You can put it on the moon if you want to, on Jupiter, in Boston, and wherever, in Portugal, wherever. And in this laboratory, you have an elevator. And in this elevator, you can have anybody come up, right? So you could have Jesus, the Dalai Lama, Buddha, Jose Silva, anybody come up in this elevator, and you can talk to them in your mind and ask them for wisdom and for guidance. And boy, I tell you, I have done this method, and it really it's so incredible, the insight that you can get, because the answers are already within you.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
part of that universal consciousness. So that's another way to really discern ego goals and spirit goals.
Yeah. Do you think when you're doing, because that's one of the books on the shelf I haven't read. I got it from a friend and I
Hey,
wanted to read it. I read a chapter and I got, busy with a lot of other stuff I was doing. So I'm going to definitely read that now. But do you think when you're doing this, when you've done this practice, do you think that it's actually like, in a way, do you feel like you're channeling that person's knowledge from the infinite universe? Like you're actually channeling what they would say if they were really there? Or do you just feel like it's more so that you're being creative with your own inner wisdom and almost doing what you think they would do, which also gives you a great result?
it's a good question. It's a good question. It's a good question, man. Wow.
Either way, it's pretty cool because it seems like you're getting good results.
I think it's that universal wisdom,
Yeah.
that you can tap into. Maybe some people call it the higher self.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, is it them in another dimension? Or I mean, if that helps you get the answers that you need, I think believe that. But whatever it is, I think that we all share the same consciousness, the same kind of essence. Schrodinger, Edwin Schrodinger, right? Schrodinger's cat. Uh, this very famous physicist, right? He wrote a book called What is Life? I think it's called What is Life? And he talked about how there's only one mind in the universe. And the fact that people think they have individual minds is an optical illusion.
Yeah. That's deep. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of spirituality is based off that same idea too, where we're all connected, or if you believe in God or if you believe in the universe, having this higher power. If you believe in this higher power, that created whatever we have in front of us, everything that we see, then you do believe, many people anyways believe that we're all connected and it's coming from the same source. So it's almost like like we're a piece of God or a piece of the universe in the form that we become incarnated in, and like we're just an expression of it, right?
I don't even think just a piece. I mean,
Yeah, that's yeah,
let's logically figure it. I mean, this is a deep question, man. I love it, man.
yeah. This
Man,
is great.
it's like one of the best conversations I've had in a while. Think about it. If God is infinite, then God must be in the room that you're in right now. God is infinite. And if God is in the room that you are right now, and if God is infinite, then God must exist inside of you. If God is infinite, and if God is infinite and he exists inside of you, well, how much of God is in you? Well, all of it.
Yeah,
All of it.
yeah,
There's no separation.
yeah,
I mean, this is just taking you down the logical path. I mean, if God truly is infinite, then we're all that. We're all connected, closer, even connected is some type of separation. Or invoke some type of separation. They say the word yoga. I ask yoga teachers all the time, and it's sad, man. They never know what the word yoga actually means. And I ask them, what does yoga mean? Well, the Sanskrit definition of yoga means union. It means union between you and the divine. And in all of the yogic traditions, the Sanskrit traditions, they say there's actually, you're already unified with the divine. Yoga is a trick. It's a thorn to remove a thorn. It's a trick to show to get you to do something, to become connected to something that you were already connected to. Nisargadatta Maharaj puts it, having never left the house, you have been searching for the way home.
That's cool. I like that.
Mm,
That's a
mm,
great way to put it.
mm.
Wow. Um, yeah, I actually I've never really said this before either, but I feel like it's very pertinent to what we're talking about here. But I've obviously, I mean, I've been in a few fights before. I'm sure you've been in a few scraps in your life as well. But I remember this one particular fight out, and I've won some fights, I've lost some fights. I'm not the toughest guy in the world, don't claim to be, but I have been in a few scraps. And this one time I was in, I ended up getting on top of the kid, and I was at like a party, and I was just he'd kind of like been wrestling with me before, and I slammed him on the ground, was on top of him, and I remember distinctly as I'm like punching his face for like a minute or two like straight, that I felt like I was almost hurting myself when I was doing it.
Mm,
It was a very weird feeling because I hadn't really felt that before. But it was like as I'm hitting this kid in his face, and he deserved it, and to be fair, but I also felt like really bad when I was
mm.
like punching him, like I was hitting myself, and I was like, remember thinking like a few days later, like that was such a weird feeling, a weird dynamic to be in that moment where I was basically defending myself, but also feeling like I was hurting myself by hitting him. You know what I mean? And it kind of just takes me back to what you just said a moment ago.
Yeah, you giving me chills, man. That's
It's
deep.
crazy, man. It really is. It make things like that though make me think that what we're talking about is 100% real, you know?
Mm, yeah. It's all this whole duality business is yeah, man. I mean, listen, Einstein even talked about duality being an illusion. The smartest people that we got historically, they agree with the sages,
Yeah.
that this is a dream, duality doesn't exist, we're all one.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Seriously. What you mentioned earlier though, Prince, about comparison and stopping yourself from comparing with other rappers at the time. As you've been so successful in the past few years doing in a totally different arena, is it like how do you continue to find inspiration, and maybe not you personally because it seems like you're quite enlightened anyways, but other people listening, how do they stop themselves from comparing themselves to other people when they're still trying to make it, when they're still trying to be successful, when they're still trying to get to that next level? How do you get to the level where you're still every day waking up and grinding and, working hard to get to the next level, but stopping yourself from comparing yourself to the other people who have already made it to that next level?
Yeah. Well, it's comparison is the doorway to suffering. And so, I mean, you think about people who have made it, people who make hundreds of millions of dollars, they have hundreds of millions of fans, and they still face imposter syndrome. So, first of all, you read stories like that and you understand that there's no amount of success that's going to allow you that's going to give you the peace that you truly need. Um, it might give a temporary pleasure, but there's a difference between excitement and true joy. Um, so I think reading stories like that, realizing that people are everybody's human. We all go through the same experiences, the same doubts. Um, but really taking time to do the work, watching, being mindful of the thoughts when they do spring up, knowing that you are not the thoughts that come and go. I mean, if you were the thoughts, then when you had the thought that I suck or I'm not good at this and they're better than me, if that was you, then when that thought left, you would leave too. But that doesn't happen. You observe every thought. So the training is to stay in the witness, stay in the observer, stay in the pure observer. Look at the washing machine without getting into it, right? Without jumping into it. Watch the thoughts go into the washing machine, tumble like the thoughts. So watch clouds. Some people think of thoughts as clouds coming and going. So that's one way. Um, and I think that's probably the best way. And really just understanding that all is well and unfolding as it should. You got to understand that um, you got to almost trust that the universal timing is has it right. The only reason we suffer is because of comparison. Listen, if people understand this, they'll never suffer. The only reason we suffer is because we compare. We compare how we think the universe should be or how people should act with the way the universe is, with the way people act. We think we're smarter than the universe is. It's arrogance, right? We think we're smarter than God or whatever. So I think when we understand we can surrender to God's timing, I don't know any successful gardeners that will plant a seed. And when, the flowers, when the plants come up a little bit, they pull them up like, hurry up and grow, hurry up and grow. I've never seen a gardener do that. So to do that in your own life, to try to force yourself to hurry up, that's how you ruin your whole plot.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good analogy. So what have you done if you I'm sure you have because you're a human being, but what have you done in the moments where you will like miss being a rapper and miss, the fame that came along with it, the cars, the money, the women? What do you do in those moments where those things will creep up, or in the past they have creeped up?
Well, I mean, I don't miss
Maybe not
the
all those things, but
yeah, because women, hey, hey, you only need one.
yeah, yeah.
Hey, too much is too much. Listen, when I have those thought patterns, I mean, honestly, so I wrote a book. I got a journal coming out. It's a mood therapy journal, and
Nice.
in this mood therapy journal, I've never seen anybody do this, which is why I did it. I study cognitive behavioral therapy. And in CBT, which I think is the gold standard to all therapy, it's the best therapy I think that we have. One of the best. Let me not be absolute. It's one of the best that we have. They list what's called 10 cognitive distortions. And I think everybody in the world needs to print this list out. I've got it in a journal, but they need to print this list out, put it on their refrigerator, right? Because every time you're upset, it's because of one or more of these 10 things. Every time. It's happened all throughout human history. It's these so one of the cognitive distortions, I'll just give you an example. One is called shooting yourself or masturbation. This is what I call them. Right. So when you put a should or must on reality as opposed to a preference. So I should have more money, or they should not cut me off in traffic, or she must call me back at this time. Well, we're shooting ourselves and we're masturbating. There's no decree from God that a person must do this. So when we put shoulds or musts on reality as opposed to preferences, we suffer. Right. And I mean, think about any time you've ever suffered, you probably put a should or a must on the situation, right? So these cognitive distortions is so important to be aware of them. These are the ways that our minds literally listen. The ego doesn't want to make you happy. The ego wants some excitement, and it kind of wants to tease you. Um, so that you can keep it alive. The ego wants you to keep feeding it. So yeah, I would say mindfulness, the deep practice of mindfulness, being the observer, being the witness, and also understanding these 10 fallacies, these 10 cognitive distortions are crucial when these thoughts come up, because that's all it is. It's just thoughts. You don't have to believe every thought that comes into your mind. Stop being loyal to thoughts that aren't loyal to you.
Yeah. How did you get to the point where you were able to Like, did you do a lot of work with coaches or mentors or professionals, or was it more so like you said earlier, diving into these books and then implementing the wisdom that you were learning?
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up shy. I was an introvert, and I didn't have any mentors that I could. I mean, I had my parents were mentors, and they can take you as far as they know how.
Yeah.
But I just had books. I just realized something that, listen, I'm lazy. I want to take a shortcut. I realized that every problem that I ever face, somebody else has faced that problem, transcended the problem, and wrote a book about it. I don't need to try to recreate I can just read the book. I can just read the book.
Yeah. The
I want to
manual.
the manual, man. I wish we had a manual when we were born on how to live in this live in this world, but we don't. We've got to search it out. And so yeah, for me, it wasn't mentors. I think mentors are great. I think they're definitely a kind of a cheat code to life. But for me, it was the books. I think my mentors were they lived 2,000 years old, like Lao Tzu, and the Tao Te Ching. So they spoke to me, and like I said, I was a very introverted, so I didn't. I tell people today, I say, yeah, I mean, having and I probably still need mentors today. Like I probably need a mentor, and like I think I'm in I say this humbly, and I say this not to impress you, but to impress upon you the fact that it's possible. But I think I'm in the 1% of almost every category, whether it's health, wealth, relationships, finances, spiritual connection, possible mindset. And but I do think that I could get better. And I know that I do have blind spots that probably only a book probably can't help me in that way. I probably do need a mentor to sit down and coach me. I think you're never too old to learn, never too young to teach. And so I think finding a teacher and being a student is a key to a healthy, happy life.
Yeah. You never stop learning no matter what it is. And there's always guys, above you who you can take things from. I was
Yep.
actually just at the gym a little while ago before the call, and before my computer decided to crash. But I was talking to this guy who was 67 and,
Hmm.
just some random dude that I met at the gym. He's a really good guy. I'm talking for like a half an hour about all kinds of random things. But, here's a guy, he didn't know who I was or anything I did. He just starts telling me all these different things. And I'm just like, I could probably tell him a few things. Like I do a lot of podcasts, interview a lot of really interesting people. I've learned a lot, but I'm just sitting back for the majority of the conversation. I didn't mind either because he's very interesting, but probably, 80, 90% of the conversation was him telling me things about life. And I'm just
Hmm.
sitting there like a student taking it all in and listening to it because the guy was fascinating and he was pretty funny. But,
You, you
I
need
actually learned a few things from him. He just random guy at the gym, 67-year-old man. It was
yeah.
cool.
And if you're 67, still working out, still in the gym, you got some wisdom to share, right?
Yeah.
So that's great that you were humble enough to listen because most people don't. Most people listen with the intent to respond. They don't just listen to listen. And you obviously you really took it in. You let him kind of give the wisdom, drop the gems in your life, and you probably just said, "Thank you, man. Let's do this again on the next chess game." Something like
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, it was cool. He was dishing out some good wisdom and I don't even think he knew that he
Mm,
was necessarily, but he was
mm,
good. He's very and I'd always try to do that, not to like toot my own horn either, but it's like over the years I just kind of learned that you can always learn from somebody else, especially someone who's not just like trying to force information upon you or down your throat, but like someone who's just giving what they know without
mm.
even trying to necessarily. You can really learn from people who have experience, especially older people. I tend to find have a lot more wisdom just because of the years they've accumulated and the knowledge that they've acquired from simply surviving this crazy planet that we're on.
Yeah. There was this story of, I don't know if it's true, but there was some king that created the concept of retirement. And he did this so that basically so that he could have full control and full power, and that because he knew the elders were much leaps and bounds beyond him when it came to governing.
Yeah.
So he created this thing called retirement. And funny enough, man, you say your guy's 67. I work out with a guy. His name is Robbie Robinson. He's 76.
Wow.
And we train in LA at Gold's Venice. And this guy, I mean, he's you just gotta listen, man. You just gotta listen to these guys. You know, he's 76. He's never been injured. He was grew up in right during the Arnold Schwarzenegger time period. He was friends with him. He was like Mr. Universe.
Wow.
Like, well, why do we follow guys who are in their 20s, these poop butt people on Instagram and not the elders, you know what I'm saying? People
Yeah.
who done it, been in it, still doing it.
Oh yeah.
It just makes sense to me. I don't know. I'm different. No different to anybody else, but
Yeah. Yeah. No offense to these Instagram models coming up, but man, the wisdom you can get from an older guy from Gold's Gym from who's in his 70s compared to one of these guys in their 20s is, light years.
totally.
Yeah. A couple quick questions, man, and I'm gonna let you wrap up in a moment. But you mentioned earlier before we jumped on the call, you moved to Portugal last year. You got a nice farmland out there, about 10 acres or so, which is really cool. I mean, that's like a dream of mine too at one point. How was that been for you mentally, spiritually, being away from the States, being away from your family, which you mentioned? Has that been a struggle at all, or has it just been naturally, um, a good progression for where you are at in your life? Has it come naturally to you, or have you struggled at times being away from everybody else?
Yeah, I think going into another country where you don't speak the language,
Yeah,
you've never lived there you've never been there more than like 2 weeks is it's a risk, But I mean, what is life without taking risks? What's the
yeah,
worst that can happen? You come back. So yeah, man. I mean, it still is it's a bit frustrating. I mean, it's a beautiful place. Like I got a farm, I got land. It was just my dream. But also, hey, having a farm, having land, you got to take care of it. You got to it's maintenance involved. It's more stuff to think about, to worry about. So I feel like I just had to do it. Just do it, just experience it, just write that next chapter in your book. Listen, this life is super fragile. I just had a friend of mine pass away yesterday. This is
uh,
this life is
sorry to hear.
I appreciate it, man. You never know when you're gonna see your last sunset. That's the thing about it. So if we can, you know, I mentioned Buddhism a lot because I think it's just so on point. Even it's not religious. The Dalai Lama says but this isn't a religion, it's a science of the mind. And in one of my favorite Buddhist texts, the Tibetan book on living and dying, it talks all about how we should use death as a kind of a life hack. Use death as a life hack. They say in this book, they say of all footprints, those of the elephant are supreme, and of all mindfulness meditations, that upon death is supreme. When you really, because in Bhutan, they say to be a truly happy person, you got to think about death 3 times a day. Something to that, thinking about the impermanence. And so I say all that to say that, I didn't want to have any regrets. So I moved out to Portugal. I did it. Whether I come back in a year or 2 years, we'll see. Maybe 10, I don't know. But I did it. I experienced it, and I didn't have any regrets doing it. I miss yeah, of course. I definitely, as my family, my parents get older, definitely want to be close to them. It's like a 12-hour flight or something like that back to I gotta catch 2 flights. And I hate flying. It
Yeah.
takes a lot out of you, man. They say pilots, man, they have like super high it's a certain type of cancer rates, flight pilots and flight
Oh
attendants.
yeah, yeah. Radiation just for being up there.
Yeah, we're afraid of the little metal detector when we at TSA
Yeah. Yeah.
on the plane. It's like 20 times as worse.
Oh yeah.
Um, so yeah, man. So we'll see. It definitely was a struggle. Um, you know, Dealing with a different government. Portuguese love the people. The government is a bit slow. Like I still don't have my visa yet. I've been trying to get this golden visa, and yeah, man. So we'll see. I'm trying to definitely maintain a positive attitude. Um, but hey, if I move back, that'll be the next chapter.
Yeah.
No regrets, baby. No regrets.
And what do you base that off of? Like, what would inspire you to want to move back, or what would inspire you to stay? Like, how would you base that decision?
Mm, um, good question. Um, what will make me move back? Um, I think I think it's just a feeling.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. It seems more like it would just be a feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a feeling. I think you just got to evaluate, your life. And there was a new Harvard study that came out that talked about what is the most important variable for success, wealth, happiness, and it's relationships. So one reason to move back is I build a lot of relationships here, in the States. Connection is key. It's so key for really a happy life. So that would be another reason: family, friends, and just new experiences.
Yeah, trying out the next thing, the next chapter.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You planning to move from Boston? Would you like to? You say you want to get a farm and live that life.
You want to swap? You come to Boston, I'll move to Portugal.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Two new experiences for both of us, man.
I'm down.
No, I've been thinking though. I've been thinking about moving for the last year or so. Just change of scenery, change of location. But I haven't been traveling in a few years, so it is a new thing for me. Kind of like redoing it. I'm actually going to Spain in 2 weeks, though, for a week and a half.
Or man, it's right next door to Portugal.
Yeah.
When
What?
you going?
Huh?
When are you
Well, the
traveling?
exact dates probably when the time this records. The exact dates are like March 7th through the 15th.
Gotcha. Yeah, I won't be there. If I was there, man,
Oh
we
man,
Portugal.
is
But
it right? Yeah, is it right next door, right?
yeah, right next door.
Damn, man, I would. Yeah, it'd be nice to meet up with you. But yeah, I mean, I'll be back because now I have more time, to travel around. I'm actually going to go to Peru too, South America. I have some family there. I'm probably going to be going there a month or two after the March trip. So I'm going to be doing some traveling this year.
What are you doing in Spain? You just want to visit?
Well, I have some family there too as well. Like an older brother. He's got a place in Madrid, and he's going to show me the town. Then we're going to go to Seville, and I'm
Mm,
going with a couple family members too. So we all kind of just plan this trip out because we haven't gone in a long time. And my grandmother passed away in October, so it was a lot of her family that lives in Spain now. So they kind of invited us when they came here to come back there in a few months. We're going to visit them. So
got it. Got it.
yeah,
Got it.
it's going to be a
Okay.
nice family trip.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
make those memories, dude. Make
I
those
know. I'm
memories.
excited, man. It's been a long time, so I am looking forward to it, man. But Prince, this has been a great interview. I really do appreciate it, and it was so great to meet you. It was a pleasure. What can you tell us about the sauna sessions coming up that your podcast is released, and also a place our listeners can check it out?
Yeah, yeah. So everybody who's listening, I want you to check out Sauna Sessions. Anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's a cool concept that I came up with a few years ago. A friend and I, we basically realized that some of the best conversations happen inside of a sauna. So I was like, okay, what about doing a podcast inside of a sauna? So here we are. So I'm bringing in some of your favorite guests, from scientists, celebrities, just cool people, and we're sweating together and chatting. We're really on the hot seat. And after the sauna session, we have like what we call a hydration session, where we sit down, nice chairs, and we drink coconut water and have like a foot bath, foot spa. And so it's a cool concept of like self-care, and it's all about healing. So the guests that come on, we're talking about healing, how to heal yourself, how to heal your community, family, world. And we're just telling good stories. So it's super exciting, it's super new, super different. And yeah, I love for your listeners to check out Sauna Sessions.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, man. Such a cool idea. So they're actually flying into you, and you're actually doing it in a sauna recording.
Yeah,
That's
we've got an
sick.
infrared sauna. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. How hot you getting it in there? Probably not too hot, right? Like
We don't want to melt the mic.
110.
Yeah, yeah. No, 120 something,
Okay, 120.
it's up there. Yeah, sometimes I worry about the guests because I can take it, but sometimes I'm doing like 2 sessions in a day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really got to rehydrate.
That's awesome, man. That's such a cool idea. So, guys, yeah, check it out. Sauna Sessions, iTunes, I'm sure Spotify, all the big podcasting ones. Prince, thanks again, man, for coming on, brother. Really do appreciate it. It was a pleasure meeting you, like I mentioned, and I know our guys are gonna love this one. So take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. One of the best interviews I've had. Thank you so much for being just a good host.